Alrighty, today we will be looking at adding. Oh my gosh, I'm so shaky. Let's put it in tripod. There we go. Today we'll be looking at adding a HUD for our camera, like this. So we can't use the regular HUD that sort of layers over the top of the view because you technically have two views in VR, and that would be impossible to read. So we will be adding this. It gives us our basic information. So we got our recording status, our lens, our smoothness method, and our time code. So when we hit record, the time code changes to the sort of time it's been recording for, and the record goes red and says rec, and we can stop that. And then when we change lenses, it tells us what lens we're at. And finally, when we change smoothing methods, it tells us what smoothing method we're on. Alrighty, let's get started. Alrighty, so we're going to start off with where we left off in our virtual camera project here. So if you remember, we've got the motion controller pawn and the track camera, and so they're the two blueprints we'll be editing. I already have it open. So I have gone ahead and put everything, those improvements I've made from my various other tutorials into this one. So in the most difficult to set up was the smoothing methods. So if you remember, we did like different smoothing methods to replicate things like a tripod, a gimbal, a Steadicam, etc., etc. So that's set up like this in this blueprint. So we're using the switch on string, which I realized someone had pointed out to me after I'd made those tutorials, rather than the function. And all of our functions here, sorry, macro, not function for this one, but all of these functions lead right back into the teleport rotation for the teleporting. So, I did change over, which I probably should have done for the original tutorial as well, but this now gets its inputs, the transform, relative transform, like this. So that this would be better in the original one as well, because you wouldn't have to go through all of them to change the Steam tracking ID. I'm not going to go through all of these, but the changes aren't too complex if we find like this one. So it's simply using what we were using for the VR camera before, with this track camera and then root component into the set relative location. And so, like, I'm just going to go through them, leave them on the screen for a minute so you can check them out. Here's the set relative, this is the smoothing one. This one is the gimbal one. So, get relative, break it, rotator, lerp, make a rotator, set relative. Steadicam as well, like that. And tripod. So not too complex in the end. Like so. And to get these transforms, you just click on this box and you can add an input. And we just went transform. So that is put into this one, as well as the cycle smoothness method we did for that. I haven't changed this blueprint other than that. The track camera one I've changed a little bit of. So I've just added the rest of the stuff. So the start and stop, the take recorder, the controller input, the take screenshot. We do not need to add the set view with blend. For this one, a cycle camera lens, and then the event tick to get the time recording timer elapsed. And the last thing I need to do is the initial start delay on this. I need to add a 3 because it's 3 seconds before it actually does start. Alrighty, like that. So what we're going to do, instead of having a HUD that layers over the top of the view, because that doesn't work in VR, we're going to actually have physical text that's stuck to our camera as well that will change instead. But so some parts are rather similar, especially if you watch that other HUD tutorial. Some parts aren't as similar. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by switching our viewfinder plane back to 90 degrees upright, because that's going to make things easy because we're about to parent stuff to it. And so we need to add some components. So we're going to put in the top left, we're going to put the recording status, top right is the lens, bottom left will be the time code / recording timer, and bottom right will be the smoothness method. So we need 4, I believe they're called text components, text render. It's close, like so. So I'm going to spin it around like so. Drag it. So I'm going to stick its little origin point in the top corner, and sort of affect some of its I think it's yeah, there we go, world size. So I'm going to drop it to maybe 6. Yeah, that'll do. And then for the placeholder text, I'm going to put sort of the largest text it could have there. Oh my gosh, that's not back a bit. Whoops, I'm an idiot. Working in 3D on a 2D monitor. I think it's back and down one. Alright, that's pretty close. So instead of 6, we're going to go like 4 then. Alrighty. Oops, sorry that I'm a bit jerky on the keyboard. So I'm just going to copy that and move it across. I'm going to put again in the corner like that, and then I'm going to hit right alignment. And so this one's going to be our lens, so I'm going to put 999 millimeters, because that's technically the largest value we can have there. Really jerky with this camera. Let's drop that down 1 or 2, 1. Oh, there we go. That's a bit nicer. Like that. We're going to give these names as well, actually. I should probably said that. So at the top right, this one is going to be called lens. Or actually, I guess focal length. Be the right name. This is going to be called recording status. I'm going to go and... No, I didn't actually copy that. Copy, paste. In the bottom, so again, in the corner there, and then I'm going to go text top, like that. And this is going to be the time code, is what I'm going to call it. For the placeholder, I think it'll be 00, 00, 00, 00. So this one may need to be, yeah, because it's a bit big. So I'm actually going to drop its size again. 2.5 maybe. There we go. And then this one to the bottom. There, text top. This one is going to be our smooth. So you can do this, you can add more elsewhere on the camera, a list of things down the side. You can get pretty trippy with this. It's pretty easy. I think smooth is the biggest smoothness. Do they overlap? Oh, that's close. I'm gonna drop this to, what do we say, 2.5. There we go. They're less important. Alrighty, so once we've got all of that, I'm going to shift click all of them and drop them so that they're a parent of this plane. So I can just spin the plane around, and wherever I put this plane, I think that's how I had it, they'll be like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over into the event graph, and we're going to start adding stuff in. Alrighty, the first thing I'm going to do is do the recording status. So if I drag it out from the component section out into here and type set text, Unreal has this fun thing where, let's turn on context sensitive. You can only find these set texts if you drag off from a component already, but then it automatically adds the component again. So I don't know why that's a thing, but anyway. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to drag off here, and I'm going to go set. I'm going to promote to a variable. That's what I wanted. So I'm going to promote this to a variable. We're going to call this variable record status. Yep, that's already in use. Text. Record status text. I'm going to compile the blueprint and set its default to be standby. Save. Alrighty. Next, what we need to do is set the smoothness method. So I'm going to just duplicate this so I don't have to do that silly round trip again. Connect them up, please. Thank you. we need the smoothness method as the target. Now to get it, we're going to just type get current smoothness method, which is what we called it. And if we untick context sensitive, we can actually see them from the motion controller pawn. So I'm going to go click get current smoothness method. Off the target, I'm going to drag out and hit context sensitive and click promote to variable, which I'm going to call our VR pawn, like that, and make it public, and we will use that later. Okay, and then I'm going to drag this into here and convert to a string. So drag it out there, try and keep things neat. Alrighty, the last one we want to do is the focal length. So I'm going to duplicate this text here. We're going to use the target as the focal length, like so. Next, we're going to use a get focal length node, or get current focal length node. Unticks context sensitive to find it. Current focal length. To get this, we need the cinema camera, so we're going to go get cine camera component, and to get that we need a self node, like so. Let's drag those over here, keep them nice and neat. Alrighty, so we can convert this to a string, because we're going to be using the append node to add the millimeters at the end. We can do that, however, it leaves the decimal and 2 zeros at the end of this, which is very annoying. So instead we're going to convert it to a text. Let's go context sensitive again, to text float, which gives it the option to round. So we'll only have a whole number. From this, we're going to convert it to a string. To string. Then from the string, where you're going to use the append node, we're going to append millimeters to the end, and then we're going to convert from a string back into a text. It's rather complicated and unnecessary, but all of this to get a no decimal place. Alright, so like that, we've set everything we need. Alrighty. Next, what we're going to be doing is doing the time code. So the time code, however, we are going to be doing not on the control event play, but on the event tick, so that it's always updating. So we're going to copy one of these set texts and go down, paste it, plug it into here. Actually, you know what? We can probably get rid of that as well. We don't actually need that because we're not transferring it to a different blueprint. So what we want is the time code, like that. Now, as for the value, we want a select. Yes. So we're going to use a select node, and we're also going to do the is recording node, and we're going to plug that into that one. So if you remember, we have it so that we have this boolean that when we do start recording, it ticks, and when we don't, it stops ticking. It's not true, I guess. So lastly, we will need get time code. Get the current time code of the engine. That's what we wanted. And we want to go time code to string. Like so. I'm going to select both of those, move them out a bit because I need to go. Oh no, what did I do? I think I double clicked on one of them. This one we need to go to text float, like so. And this one we also need to go to text string, like so. Now we make sure, because I think one of those nodes is incorrect, so we check our notes. Alright, so I was wrong, we need the time seconds to string. And that to text to string. Yep. Alrighty, so we're going to plug both of these. So if we're not recording, we want to show just the current time code. If we are recording, we want to show the elapsed time. And then that plugs into there. So these can be the other way around, I guess, like so. So yeah, now that will update constantly as well. So what have we've done already? So next we need to update the things, the camera, these focal lengths. So what I am going to do for that one is draw a blank again because I'm an idiot. I apologize that I'm doing this because it's been a little bit since I did a tutorial. I'm a bit rusty, and then I'm also thinking of better ways of doing things as I'm doing them. That's why they're a bit different to when we did the other HUD tutorial. But yeah. Alright, so what we're going to do for this one is we're going to go get set text again, and we're going to drag it to the bottom here. I'm going to plug both of these into the set text, and for the target we want the focal length. Now next I'm going to do this down here, and I want to get to text. We're going to do that silly thing again where we go to text and then to string, and then append, add millimeters, and then to string, to text again. That should work fine. So we've done focal length, time code. Okay, for smoothness method, what we want to do, what we want to do is we want to actually get the smoothness input. So to do that, we actually have to go back to our motion control pawn. Yes, right. So if we click on our action for smoothness, we need to make sure we untick consume input. This means that so when it's consume inputs ticked, then one of the blueprints, I don't actually know how it figures out which one does it, will get this action and consume it, and so it won't trigger in any other blueprint. It can be useful, but not for us. So we need to untick consume input, and then we need to add it in this blueprint. There it is. We need to make sure it's unticked consume in this blueprint as well. So now when we change this smoothness method, we are going to update the smoothness method one, that one. And I need another one of these set text ones, and sort of drag it over. There we go. I'm going to do it when it's released, because that is, I believe, when it actually does click over. Target here, and then we simply need to do this again. So I'm just going to copy this there, like so. There we go. So the last thing is the record. Should probably name these things. Actually, no, we don't have to. So the last thing is the record, which we're going to go from our start, stop, take recorder. So we're just going to do it on the end of the timer functions, like this. So we're going to need two set texts, like that. And I'm going to drag them off. I'm going to give it a bit of space, just because. And drag it off. So this will be very familiar to anyone that did the other HUD tutorial. The other thing we need, so I'm going to need to grab the recording status and plug it into there, but I'm also going to need a set color. Was it? Yeah, set text render color for the record status. I'm going to delete that because I'm just going to use it twice again. Plug it, do that. Alrighty, so the annoying thing is I can't just type a value in here unless I go string. Make text from string advanced. Okay, yeah, that does work. Okay, we'll do that then. So when we hit record, look at that, finding new ways. We want it to say record, and we went to text string. Well, I put a space. To text string like that, and this is going to be back to standby like so. And then on these values, we can just drag it out and click make color, which is really easy. So all values at 100 will be white. Sort of values in between will be other colors. Really easy for us. So when we record, we want everything to be normal except red, which is 100. Unless, is it 255? Okay, no, yeah, so all values at 255, my bad. Don't remember colors. 255 and 255. And so that'll be white and that'll be red, which is easy. And I didn't have to do it with all those variables. So that should all be set up now, as confusing as that was. So over here, we've got our smoothness. Make sure the consume input is off. Smoothness, this text, yeah. So on the event begin play, we just set everything. Otherwise, everything will have sort of different values, especially if you go changing things. On the event tick, we added the time code and the switch for it. On the lens, we added a set text node to change the lens, and on the set timer and the take recorder, we added the color change and text change. So if we compile and save it, and we can close all that now. So make sure, not in the motion controller, in the CG element for our viewfinder, we need to reselect our camera, because every time we compile it, we need to do that. And in the track camera, we now have the VR pawn, which we have to select the motion controller pawn. Now, if we save it and play it in VR, it should work. I hope. Hit play. There we go. Look at that. I mean, yes, it works like I intended. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Oh, there we go. So, we change the lens. That should change. Is my controller running in a battery? Alrighty. Switching the smoothness methods works as well. Tripod, gimbal, Steadicam, raw, smooth, back to tripod. The take recorder panel isn't open, so it's not actually going to do it, but as you can see, it switches to red and says record, and the timer starts going up, and then I stop recording and it's back to standby, white, and the engine time code, which is 12:30 apparently. Awesome. So yeah, just like that. I guess thanks for watching. Might make more tutorials. I don't know. It depends what people want. I'm thinking about doing the green screen tutorial, although that may have already been overdone. But yeah, this is really cool. Really like it. Feel free to use this in not a camera. If you want a gun with numbers on it, use a camera and a gun. I don't care.